Episode 2, The Wild Forest and the Wolf. Early in the morning, everything was ready. Seppo had packed his healing oils, thick clothes in case of cold, and a few dried mushrooms to eat. Mikki brought nothing. His fur was thick enough for snow and cold, yet thin enough for the summer sun. Boody, of course, had everything in order. He had even drawn a map showing the route they were to take. Everyone was ready for the journey. Seppo climbed onto Mikki's back, their packs tied carefully to the tiger's sides. They shouted, "Goodbye, home!" and ran across the fields. Boody flew up from time to time to make sure they stayed on course, leading them toward the sunrise. He had taken the role of guide upon himself, and after all, he was the one who had drawn the map, and everything went smoothly. Mikki ran fast, incredibly fast for his size. He was strong and tireless, and Boody could barely keep up. Sometimes the parrot landed on Mikki's back to rest, which only made Mikki laugh. The first 2 days went just as Uncle Cole had foretold. By the end of the second day, they had crossed the open plains. Ahead of them loomed the wild forest. Because night was falling, they stopped to camp at the forest's edge. Early next morning, Boody flew high into the sky to see where the sun would rise and which direction they should follow. After watching the glorious sunrise, he swooped down to wake Seppo and Mikki. That was no easy task. Seppo was not fond of early mornings, but Mikki was already awake. He was far too proud to let anyone wake him. His hearing was so sharp that he caught every tiny rustle or crack. Seppo, on the other hand, slept soundly between Mikki's soft fur and heard nothing at all. There was no need. If danger came, Mikki would take him and run. But that morning was different. Seppo woke without a single complaint. Usually he had at least 3 excuses: too early, too tired, or simply a free day. Not today. After breakfast, the journey continued. They ran at full speed through the wild forest, with Boody flying just above the treetops to see and hear what lay ahead. Uncle Cole had warned them many times. The most fearsome predators lived in this forest. The day passed quietly. No obstacles, no sign of life. They decided to rest. Boody landed on Mikki's back, and Mikki leapt onto a huge oak branch, just in case someone appeared. Boody had just started a speech about how this forest wasn't scary at all, and how Uncle Cole must have exaggerated. "Don't mock Uncle Cole," said Seppo. "He knows exactly what goes on in this forest. He's flown here many times with the old man to heal the animals. Don't celebrate too soon." Boody puffed his feathers, a little offended, ready to answer, when suddenly, from behind them, came a long howl. "Oh!" It was chilling. Mikki didn't hesitate. He grabbed both Seppo and Boody and leapt to the very top branch of the tree. They saw nothing, but the howling grew louder, closer and more frightening. "Boody, fly ahead and see what it is," said Seppo. Boody vanished among the branches. When he didn't return, Mikki suggested they move closer, jumping from branch to see for themselves. "Good idea," said Seppo. A few leaps later, they found Boody perched on a branch, eyes wide, staring ahead. What is it?" stammered Mikki. "Look, Tiger. Look that way," whispered Boody. "What would you do if you had to face something like that?" Through the leaves, they saw a large gray wolf. Seppo had never seen such a magnificent creature. Its coat shimmered silver in the light, thick and flawless, its body strong and proud. Yet the great beast was howling in pain. "Let's get closer," Seppo whispered. "You're crazy," croaked Boody. "We should be going away, not closer." No, said Seppo. "There's pain in his body. He's not thinking about attacking anyone." Mikki trusted Seppo and jumped closer. Now they could see it clearly. The wolf's muzzle was twisted in agony. Seppo gathered his courage. "Hello there, good wolf. What makes you howl so loudly on such a beautiful day?" The wolf looked up, eyes fierce. "Who are you, and why are you wandering in my forest?" he growled. But a moment later his tone softened, and he groaned. "I broke my tooth. What kind of wolf am I if it falls out?" "I'm Seppo," said the boy, "and these are my friends. We're on our way to Estello's when we heard your cry." "Estello's?" the wolf gasped. Then you've got a long road ahead. He groaned again. I could help you, Seppo offered, if you promise not to harm us when we come closer. Harm you? How could I, when my jaw barely opens? The wolf sighed. The three of them stepped closer. Seppo peered into the wolf's mouth. It's tricky, he murmured, but not impossible. He opened his small bag of bottles and selected one filled with shimmering oil. The wolf watched carefully. Seppo poured a few drops onto the loose tooth. The oil began to bubble, and the tooth seemed to melt back into place. Seconds later, it was fixed. There, said Seppo, looking straight into the wolf's eyes. The wolf hesitated, then closed and opened his mouth several times, testing his bite. The pain was gone. His face brightened, and suddenly he wrapped all three of them in his great paws, licking and hugging them, tossing them playfully into the air and catching them again. Hey, easy, laughed Seppo. Careful, or you'll swallow us out of joy. The wolf chuckled. That won't happen? Boody cleared his throat. We should keep going. Yes, agreed Mikki. Seppo climbed back onto Mikki's back. Get well soon, he called, and they ran on. They had taken only a few steps when the wolf leapt in front of them. Now his eyes shone brightly. The pain was gone, and his mood had changed. You left in quite a hurry, he said with a grin. Didn't even let me thank you. If it's only thanks, then we're sorry for our rude departure, said Seppo politely. The wolf smiled. Did I really frighten you that much? I understand. You're in a rush. He pulled a small silver whistle from his fur. Take this, Seppo. If you're ever in trouble and your own strength is not enough, blow this whistle. Someone from my family will come to help. It would be an honor for our pack to aid you and your old one. Old one? Seppo asked. So you know my grandfather? Of course. There are few who don't, replied the wolf. Go now, and don't forget the whistle. I won't, said Seppo, and they hurried onward. For several days they met no one. When they finally left the forest, a large bear appeared on the horizon. Seeing them, the bear looked utterly shocked. He's probably never seen a blue creature before, laughed Seppo. Are you calling me blue? Asked Mikki. Yes, you, said Seppo, and they ran on between the cliffs. Their journey went well. They rested, ate and drank when needed, and continued again once Mikki had regained his strength. Soon the rocky path opened up, and something huge and white appeared ahead. Mount Lesso, shouted Boody. Yes, you're right, said Seppo. Then we're on the right track, added Mikki. Before long, they stood before the towering white mountain. Wow, gasped Boody. I can't even see the top. How are we supposed to climb it? It's freezing, and there's so much snow. You've got skis, haven't you? Teased Mikki. You can use them to climb. You're from the cold north, after all. You don't ski up mountains, Mikki. Only down, huffed Boody. You tigers in Ussuri have no snow, only what you see on TV. All right, laughed Mikki. Then tie your rope around my tail, and I'll show you how we Southerners ski. Fine, said Boody, and so they did. Seppo climbed onto Mikki's back. Boody strapped on his skis, tied the rope, and let Mikki pull him up the snowy slope. Boody loved the idea. He had skied many times before, and soon he was gliding from side to side, singing cheerfully, while Mikki ran faster and faster uphill. Not too rough for you? Mikki called. No, go faster if you can, Boody shouted back. They climbed higher and higher, resting once before continuing. By sunset, they had reached the top of the great white mountain. The view was breathtaking. But their peace didn't last. Behind the ridge came a terrible noise. Shouts, growls, and cries. Come on, quickly, yelled Seppo. What they saw shocked them. 4 or 5 foxes were attacking a young polar bear cub. The cub was larger than the foxes, but far too young to defend itself. Where are his parents? Thought Seppo. What do we do? Cried Boody. We help him, roared Mikki, furious. No, no, warned Seppo. We'll be torn apart. We need another plan. Plan? They'll kill the poor cub, Boody wailed. Use the whistle, Seppo, the one the wolf gave you, shouted Mikki. That's a good idea, said Seppo. He took the whistle and blew it with all his might. Its sound was sharp and clear, echoing across the snowy peaks. Boody shook his head. No one's coming. You're wrong, said Seppo. The wolf meant his words. Blow again. I can't stand watching this. Seppo blew once more, harder. Then, a sudden leap behind them, a huge white wolf landed in the snow. He nearly knocked Seppo over, panting heavily, eyes blazing. Seppo froze, trembling, certain this was the end. The wolf growled, What's the trouble? Seppo pointed toward the fight. The wolf understood immediately. With 3 great leaps, he reached the foxes, struck each one aside, and sent them scattering into the blizzard. The cub lay in the snow, muttering, I didn't give up. I fought like a real polar bear. The wolf chuckled. You should be with your mother, little one, not wandering alone. Let this be a lesson. I was almost stronger than them, murmured the cub. Of course you were, laughed the wolf and returned to Seppo. Where did you get that whistle? He asked. In the wild forest, Seppo replied. We met a great gray wolf there. I healed his tooth. So you're the one who cured my brother Greyfur? Said the wolf in surprise. He's my brother. I'm Whitefur. Tell me, does your oil also work on polar bear wounds? It does, said Seppo confidently. Good. Come, look at the cub. Bolo, that was the cub's name, looked terrible, scratched and bitten, bleeding from many wounds. Seppo knelt beside him, stroking his head. I'll put some oil on your wounds. It will sting, but soon you'll be well again. The others watched in silence. Seppo's hands were so gentle that Bolo hardly felt a thing. Only one deep gash made him cry out loudly. It's all right, whispered Seppo. It will heal soon. Then the ground began to tremble. The mountain itself seemed to move. Seppo froze, looking at Bolo, who tried to speak but couldn't. The shaking grew stronger. Mikki grabbed Boody and dashed up the nearest icy tree, if it could be called a tree at all. Why did you grab me and not Seppo? Shouted Boody. Seppo would never leave that cub, Mikki answered. You're right, Boody admitted softly. The rumbling grew louder, and then stopped. Seppo still sat beside Bolo. Suddenly Boody screamed from above. Look, over there! Out of the snow came something massive, a huge polar bear, teeth bared, eyes burning red with rage. Seppo ducked closer to Bolo. The white wolf sprang in front of them, covering both with his body. Stay here, don't move, he commanded. Seppo watched in awe. The wolf stood firm, fearless. The bear thundered closer, claws digging into the ice like blades. Bolo whimpered, Mama, Mama. At once Seppo understood. This was Bolo's mother. The wolf and the bear faced each other. Neither moved. The air trembled between them. Then the bear lowered her head and pressed it gently against the wolf's, a sign of peace. Moments later she hurried to her cub, scooping him up in her paws. Oh, my little one, she cried. Don't ever wander off again. Seppo felt warmth in his chest watching them, and maybe a little envy too. The great bear turned to Seppo. I know your family, she said. When I was Bolo's age, I too was attacked by foxes. I was badly hurt and left lying in the snow. When I opened my eyes, I saw 2 small beings, just your size, placing oil on my wounds. Their hands were soft, their touch so gentle that I fell asleep again. When I awoke, they were gone. I've searched for them ever since, to thank them. Seppo was amazed. There aren't 2 of us, only my grandfather and me, he said. The bear laughed. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you healed my child today. How can I ever thank you? Come to our cave. We'll share a warm meal together. Thank you, said Seppo, but we must keep going. We're headed for Estello's, to uncover the secret of the Great Black Mountains.